Welcome to the Changing the Perception of Sales podcast. Today, I'm delighted to say we are joined by Whitney Williams. Whitney, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. And as we always like to start and kick things off, just for the listeners, please give us a bit of an introduction into who you are and what it is that you do.
So my name is Whitney Williams. I'm the owner of PR by Whitney Williams. We specialise in digital PR, which is humanising the brand and getting brands seen, heard and remembered digitally.
Seen, heard and remembered digitally. That's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it?
Hey, I've said that before, haven't I?
Yeah, that is definitely, that came off really well for Tom. We're going to talk a lot around actually PR, branding and the digital element of sales actually later on. But people are probably thinking, why have you got someone from PR background on a sales podcast? Little people may know is actually you did work in sales. So do you want to share with the listeners and the people watching just your kind of background in sales before starting the business that you have today?
Yeah, so when I started out in sales was a construction publication. And I was there for 10 years. I become the highest sales rep for 7 years. No one outsold me.
Just saying.
Just saying. No, that's sounding really cocky, that. And then that's how I got into PR as well, in that role. I like the element of helping brands more. And yeah, that's how I got into sales.
You're a top performer for 7 years running. What were you doing that other people weren't doing?
See, when I went into the job, I got the job through the job centre. It was a work placement. I wasn't being paid for the first, I think I was on there for about 6 to 8 weeks till I was trying to find a job. And there was one girl there that was just literally, she was at the board all the time, hitting the figures up, and I thought, like, I'd never had money before then. Nothing like that anyway. And I was seeing her, she was making 11 grand a month and stuff like that. Back then, that was huge. And I just remember thinking, I was just like broke all the time. And I didn't have much money, I didn't have many things, and I just wanted to be like her. I thought I can do that, and I just mirrored her, and I just watched, and she taught me some things, and then I just give it a go when they give me the job.
Yeah, amazing. How long were you in the position where you actually weren't getting paid?
I think it was about 6 weeks. Yeah, the job centre, like back then, I think. When you're trying to look for a job, if you haven't found yourself a job, they'll just have to put you on placements within the local area. And that was like a construction publication in Bolton.
Right. Wow. Well, I think it makes sense to go into how you got into sales then, because it sounds like we're going to learn a lot more about you here, Whitney, because I think sitting here with a founder of a PR business, people probably wouldn't associate that with someone that maybe started on a work placement from a job centre. So talk us through, how did you end up to be in that situation and on work placement from a job centre in the first place?
So back then, I just got out of prison. I've been in prison for 18 months. Before that, I was just off the rails. Life wasn't that good. There were a lot of drink involved. And loads of other things within my childhood. I just went down the totally wrong path. While I was in prison, I just remember just thinking, I was seeing people coming in and out like a revolving door, and I just thought, I do not want to be like that. Obviously, when I got released, I've then been put on the placement, and yeah.
Wow. Thanks for your honesty and sharing that as well. Because I think it's good for people to learn from that story that everyone's path to success, and I'm sure you've still got a lot you want to achieve, but everyone's path to success isn't just linear. There's a lot of trials and tribulations along the way. What was it like when you had just come out and been released from prison? Because I think there's probably a bit of a stigma maybe attached then when you're on the job search as well.
Yeah, it's like, so, like, I'll go into a bit of detail. Like, in my childhood, I was getting sexually abused, getting physically beaten all the time at home by my parents. Then I was drinking drugs with my parents. And I was just off the rails. I was homeless. And then when I was homeless, that's when I got prison. Being in prison, I was happier than being out. And I had that time to think in there. I just wanted to make something in my life. I never wanted to be that broke or broken again. And then I remember when I was getting released, I was thinking, oh God, am I going to go down that path again? And that was scary. And then the job centre said like we're going to start putting people on placements. So I thought, oh right, well that's my shot. And then I got the job. Well, I got on the placement there, and I just seen a different side. Like I'd never seen money. All I'd seen, like I'd had jobs in the past, but when I was homeless and stuff like that, I was losing them all the time because I was drunk. Like I had no purpose. And then once I just started to see money and I started to earn a bit more money, the game changed for me, and it just changed everything.
Wow. I was getting goosebumps then as well when you like talking about that story. Very inspirational stuff. And again, thank you for sharing. You said you had a lot of time to think when you had that kind of 18 months. What were some of the things that were going through your head that made that when you were released, that a lot of people would go down the same path, go down off the rails again?
Yeah, so it's like when I was in there, like I'm actually going working with prisons as well. I'm going back to the old prison that I was in. I'm working with the women in there, because what I noticed is when I was in there is it was like a revolving door. The same faces, week in and week out. Now I would put it down to they haven't got anything on the outside, which many haven't. I didn't even want to get out when I was going to be released, because I thought I didn't want to do the same things that I was doing. I didn't want to go down the same path, and I definitely just didn't want to be living how I was. And when I was looking at all these people coming in, and I just thought, I do not want to be like that. And like, I understand that they were going through so much. They had no hope on the outside. Like, and that's why they just kept getting like resent to prison. And I got into my books in prison. I started to read, and it changed my mindset. And I just thought, like, I don't know, it sounds crazy, because I remember I'd be looking out the window and I'd be like, I just know that there's more to life for me. Like, I've been through all this shit now. And I felt like I dealt with it in all that 18 months. Like, that were the first time, them 9 months that I sat there and I had to deal with everything inside. I'd been through counselling and stuff like that. And counselling, for me particularly, it might work for others, didn't work for me. It made me worse. It made me relive everything that I was going through at home, and everything that I was experiencing. And it was just sending me off the rails, hitting the bottle straight away as soon as I walked out of the counselling session. So in that time when I was just sat there and I was thinking, I just knew that I just wanted more for life. I wanted to do better, be better. And then the books helped me loads as well. Like, they changed my life. I don't watch TV now. Like, books changed my life. No counselling session, did no therapy, books.
Interesting. We mentioned beforehand some of the books, but just what were some of the books you read or were reading in prison that had a massive impact on you?
So it's like, I always say that this is like the first book that I started on was Rhonda Byrne, The Secret. No, it is a bit far-fetched, like it's American based. However, the concept of it just changed my whole outlook on life. Like, I thought the world was against me as a person, because the people that I was trusting the most, we were supposed to trust the most, were hurting me the most. So I didn't trust anyone. I just thought the world was evil. I didn't even want to be here. But it just changed my life. Like, I started reading them books, and then I read a follow-on book of hers, which was The Power, The Magic, and just kept going and going. And honestly, it just changed everything.
Wow. How much do you think your experiences kind of fuel and motivate everything that you're doing, day to day now with the business?
Fuels everything. Yeah. Everything. I never want to be like that again. I wouldn't anyway, because I've had a daughter now. My daughter taught me what love felt like, and to be loved, and to love someone else. And like, I love my life now. I never used to love life. Like, I'd be homeless, I'd be sleeping on the streets, on the park, and I just didn't want to be here. Like, and now I just think, I can't believe this is my life. Like, I'm literally high on life, not high on drinking drugs.
Which is definitely the better thing to be high on, for sure.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people? Because your upbringing, childhood seems like very much on the extreme end, but there will be people that are maybe come out of prison, maybe at a job centre, maybe not sure what to do. What advice or words of wisdom would you give to people that are maybe feeling how you felt all those years ago?
Well, this is exactly what I'm doing at the minute. So I'm working with local schools at the minute, going into doing talks with the children in there, because I never opened up while I was in school about what was going on at home. Hoping that I can, hopefully, if something is going on like that to other people, at that age, that they do open up and they can have a voice. I'm going into the prisons doing it as well, helping the women to not try go back to prison, and just know that there is hope on the outside. Like, if honestly, when I come out, I just knew that I didn't want to go back in. But sometimes you think that there's not hope. How can you grow in life and stuff like that? But I literally just worked my ass off from then. And yeah, and I just, honestly, books, just read them books, start with them. And like, I do a lot in regards to my mindset. So in the morning, I have a morning ritual, 5 a.m. club ritual, which is get up, gratitude, like motivational speeches on YouTube, exercise. Exercise is, for me, is a game changer. And just spend that first hour of the day of getting my mindset ready for the day. And so then I'm the best version for the people that I want to surround myself with for that day as well.
Love it. On that ritual in a bit more detail, and you said about gratitude. Yeah. I kind of know the word and what it means, but how do you actually, for someone that doesn't know, how do you practice that in the morning?
So in the morning, you can go, but this is the book of Rhonda Byrne, The Magic, that's all about gratitude. However, what I like to do is write 3 things that I'm grateful for that morning. And it just makes you, and you just think of why you're grateful for it. Like, I'm grateful every day for the life that I've got now, that I'm still here even. My beautiful daughter, the business that I'm building, the team that I work with. It's just the little things. And just being grateful for it every single day, being grateful that we're alive.
Yeah. Wow, what an incredible story. And I'm going to go into it in a bit more detail, particularly the bit around coming out of prison. So we mentioned, I've talked about the stigma before, and I think people might not admit this, but there might be hiring managers or businesses out there that they might get a candidate that has been to prison or has been homeless, and they might go, I'm not going to touch them. And what advice would you give to maybe people like you that were going through that job seeking process, but also businesses to maybe open their eyes to what could be out there?
Well, I didn't open up about my story till last year, because I was so scared of the stigma of being judged, and I've started opening up about it more now because it is life. But no one knew. Like, I don't excuse my behaviour, and I deserved to go to prison for my actions. And I'll always say that I hold myself accountable for anything that I've done. But 9 times out of 10, people are going through things. They're doing it for a reason. And just for the people that do come out, to not be scared to open up, because 9 times out of 10, more people than none will want to help. And it's like about being understanding that people do want to change their lives. Like, I never ever wanted to live that life, and I never would go back to that life. But that's because someone did give me a chance. I was open about me being, they knew that I'd come out of prison, the employer, and I'll always be grateful for him giving me that chance, because he changed my life. I was able to buy my first home. I was able to give my daughter a life that I never had. And that taught me all the knowledge that I know today.
I think that's great for not only you, but how fulfilling must that be for the person that gave you that chance as well. Like, they must look now at what you've achieved and gone, I'm so glad I took that chance on someone like you.
Someone gave me a chance, and like, I weren't used to anyone helping me. I was always, I was so alone in the world. And then for someone to just say, right, you know what, I will give you a chance and let me run at it, it changed my life. And
How long did it take you to get that chance? Because I can't imagine it would have been the first thing you applied for. The first, I'm sure there was a lot of
ages, yeah. So I was learning, I was mirroring this girl, and I was just thinking, right, putting my own spin on it. I had to go on the phones, and I was so scared at first. I was like, oh God, can I do this? And it's nerve-wracking, isn't it? Especially in an open office, and thinking, shit, can I actually do this? Anyway, I gave it a go. It took a while. And then I started getting really good after a year. Started seeing some good money coming in. Got myself my first car. I lived in a council flat then, so I did all the council flat up. And then 3 years in, I got pregnant with my daughter, Lily. And then when she was 1, I seen an house that I wanted, and I said to the owner, I said, give me 6 months and let me buy this. I only had £1,000 in my bank account. Anyway, he did, and I did it.
Wow.
And I just didn't stop working. And back then it was just literally bang, bang, bang. And once I started to see the way of life with money, I enjoyed it. I enjoy making memories.
Good. I love that. And one more question, and then we'll go into actually your kind of sales background and move on to the business that you that you have now. Going back into kind of what it was like when you were going through that job searching process, what advice would you give to people that are maybe similar to you, that are just not sure what to do, struggling to find anything? Like, what did you do to actually secure that placement in the end?
Well, the job centre got me that placement. I didn't have a choice. I had to go if I wanted my benefits. However, what would I advise? My advice would be to anyone that's looking to do a job is pick something that you're going to enjoy. Pick something that you're going to love. Because when you love it and you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work.
Find a job you love. You never work a day in your life. Is that the saying?
That's
I think it is. Yeah, that is
the
saying.
Yeah, that's the saying.
It's cringy, but I like it.
And then anyone that's come out of prison and worrying about that is just be open and honest. Like, people want to help others. Like, I think we get so scared to think that we're going to be judged and there's going to be opinions, and there is going to be, because at the end of the day, you've done an offence and people are going to have their opinions. It's like, I put out a post actually this morning about negative comments, and it's like you've just got to let people have their opinion and let it go over your head, but just keep going and just keep believing in yourself and just keep pushing.
Just keep going. That's
keep
the phrase.
going.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
And what you, again, to go into like the last year, you said it's only recently you've started actually talking and sharing about this. What's motivated the change?
Mike Bates.
We love Mike Bates.
Yes, we do. I opened up to Mike about my story when I first engaged with Mike when he was coming to work with us guys. And he's like, you need to tell your story, And I'm like, no. And then we went to Be The Standard, Greece. And he said, please let me interview you. Anyway, I agreed. And then not like 2 seconds before, we're like, no, I can't do this. I were having hot sweats, I was panicking. I was just like, I can't do it, because I was thinking, I'm going to be judged. People are going to hate me and think, like, I always think, people are going to think that I'm still that person, do you know? And I'm not that person. And yeah, he helped me talk about it, and got a standing ovation. I cried, a few others cried. And then what it did for me is over, like, from October, I've just been working on the background in regards to liaising with prisons, with schools, and hopefully have a book soon.
Oh, book soon. Well, we'll definitely be reading that one. Thanks, Mike Bates, as well, for encouraging you.
I actually messaged him last night saying, I'm going on a podcast because of you.
Well, no, I'm glad he's encouraged you to share your story, because I think it's inspirational. And yes, for every one person that might think of it negatively or have that stigma, I'm sure there's going to be tens, hundreds of people listening to this that will be inspired by hearing the story. As you said in your post this morning, you're always going to get the odd negative comment. There'll be a lot more positive and good that will come from it for sure. Incredible. Let's move into the sales part then. So obviously you were there for 10 years, 7 years of which were as a top performer, as you said. Big yourself up, which I like. What was the sales like? What was your sales process then? Because I should imagine how you sell now in the world of sales is probably different to what you were doing in the world of construction.
So we get lists through from main contractors and things like this. So they'd put their projects into the publication, and we'd ring the subcontractors to see if they'd want to advertise alongside them. We'd get the list of the subbies that worked on the project, and we would literally be bang, bang, bang.
How many calls a day?
God, I was making hundreds. So, honestly, I didn't leave my seat. I didn't have a break or anything.
And what would be the conversion rate of successful calls as a percentage?
Oh God, I can't think. Like, sometimes you'd go without any sales in a day, but then some days I'd have a massive day where, like, one day I think I made about $7,500 in a day.
It's not bad, is it?
You weren't by the sound.
And you were in that job then for 10 years, was it?
Yeah, 10 years. So I was selling into the construction publication, moving up as team leader and things like that. And then I took a liking to the PR side. Now I didn't want to just place companies as one place ad and then hope for the best. I wanted to delve more into how can I consistently get these seen? How can I tell the story of them? Now this company that I was working at, they weren't on social media. The guy didn't want to go on social media, and that's when I stepped away and set up my own publication company.
Okay. You can almost fill the gap that they didn't want to have. How do you look back on your career in sales? You're probably still involved in it, and running your own business is obviously a huge sales element that's needed as well. But how do you look back on your sales career?
God, it's helped me with so much. Like, obviously coming out of prison, I was a shell of a person. Like, I didn't have no one. So it built me up so much. Like, I'm a social person. I love to speak to people. Well, I do now. It helped me in so many ways. I feel like you need sales in loads of things, everyday life. Yeah, it helped me lots.
Good. I think, people think sales is a career, the earning percent progression is great. But like you said, it's just a life skill.
Yeah, it's meeting new people. I love to meet new people. And like most of my clients now have become my friends. People that I've met over the years through sales become my friends. And yeah. Sales has got a bad stigma against it, and it. People think you just want to sell to me. Yeah. But like, even when I'm not sold to people, they've become my friends. Like, I've met so many people through doing what I do.
Well, what do you think then, just on your sales approach? Because this isn't relevant to the job you had in the construction industry. This is even now. What is your recommended sales approach to try and change the stigma of salespeople
just
being
pushy? Being yourself, being authentic, and like, no one likes a salesperson. Like, one thing I say on LinkedIn is, do not sell. No one, people just switch off. Do you know, what is it that you offer? What value are you going to add? What problem are you solving for that person?
People don't like being sold to.
They do not like being sold to.
And to move on to then the business now then. So you'd gone from working in sales for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, with the construction, I set up a construction publication after the sales job.
Right, okay. So that was kind of like the transition.
Yeah. I set up the publication company. We're like, so we did the advertising PR side. I set up with another business owner. That company failed. So then when that company failed, I had no money again. So I sold my house that I'd bought for 10 years. Started again.
Just as I thought it was going over into the hill, running off into the sunset. You just dropped that upon us. So let's go into that in a bit more detail, shall we, Whitney? What were the reasons that business didn't work out? Or maybe what were the learns that you took?
I learned so much. We pivoted quite quickly. I took on way too many staff. COVID, we were in the middle of COVID as well. And there were loads that I've learned from that business, like managing people, the finances. I'd gone from sales and PR into as a business owner. I had a lot to learn, and that I've learned now. Yeah. But then once that failed, I just didn't give it a second thought. I just put the house up for sale, sold it within weeks, moved out of it, started again.
What kept you going at that time? Because obviously you probably had good experience in the way 10 years ago in terms of you're probably not going to be in a more difficult situation than you were in the past. But
nothing's going to ever be worse than that, is it?
But what kept you going? You must have thought, God, things are just looking good. I've built a great career. You've taken a big risk to set up your own business. And it's not worked. That's the reality of setting up a business sometimes. But what was it that really kept you going there?
Because what I did is I analysed how we were running that business and what we were doing and what we were missing. And then obviously I built friends up who I'd worked with. And I just seen another niche in the market, and I thought, right, I know what to do now. And I thought, right, we're going to specialise in digital PR. Because traditional PR is all good. With getting the press release out there for your milestones and things like that. However, with digital PR, I started to do a lot more research and to do some home courses and stuff like that. Because at the click of a button, you can be telling your story to millions on a global scale. So I just thought, right, I'm going to set up, I'm going to do things differently now. I'm going to do it on my own for a period of time, and I'm just going to build it gradually. Was it scary? Yes, it was. I'd had that house 10 years. It was my only thing that I'd ever really big bought. And I just thought, I just didn't want to give up. I knew that I could. I just seen a niche in the market of changing the way sales was. Building something. It's gone better than I ever expected.
Wow. What a brave thing to do, though, to put your house up for sale upon the business failing. You then set up PR by Whitney Williams, which the business have now. How long has that been running for?
3 years this year.
3 years this year. Nice. That's a good milestone. And COVID's well gone, hopefully. So that's not going to interrupt anything again. So you mentioned about the digital side, which is pretty interesting because you mentioned press releases, PR, that still happens. We see them probably on our LinkedIn feed and newspapers, whatever it may be, every single day. What are the key differences then in the digital and online side that you specialise in?
So we specialise in humanising the brand, and that's basically telling the story of a brand through a visual concept. Now, you've got to think of it as people, we live in a world where everyone sits on their phones and they scroll. Now, you can put out a well-written press release, it's going to get read once, it's going to get chucked in the bin, and it's going to be old newspaper. Now, what I was thinking of is, it's like, when we're analysing other digital PR agencies and stuff like that, is it's got a digital imprint, so it's leaving a trail at all times. So if we can successfully tell the story of a brand on social platforms, humanising the brand we specialise in, so we're bringing that authenticity out, the personality, and then getting the press releases on digital platforms as well. It just brings it all into a bigger scope, you see, in regards to just doing traditional where it's just a one-hit wonder.
When you say, particularly like leaving a print is interesting as well. When you say the digital side, then what channels and platforms do you mean? I'm trying to think here now from a salesperson's perspective as well. What could they do to be leaving a print? So
the biggest platform for a business or people that want to build their personal brands is LinkedIn, especially in this given age. That's where I built the business up from. I've just completely, I sold my house, I started again, I literally was turning up on site with a GoPro, my laptop under the hand, and it was just me. And I just thought, right, and I was platforming it all on LinkedIn. And one thing that I swear by is don't tell people what you do, show them. And that's what I was doing. And then we have just been building the business up through the LinkedIn platforms. We're now on, we do the podcasting. We do press releases anyway. Video, and I feel like we do loads.
Do it all.
Yeah, we do it all.
Do it all.
Social media is a massive one where we're working. And we just tell the story of a brand. Everyone can put out a well-written graphic, but it's a story that people are going to buy into.
The story bit then to go into, because storytelling is something that's really important in general to build a brand, but also it's important in sales. You know, the ability to tell a story that's going to get someone captivated and more likely to influence them on your product service. What is your take on how to tell your story and for salespeople and businesses actually through their salespeople to get the story out there?
You've got to think of it as is everyone's got a story to tell. How has the brand started? What's the history? Where they going? What is the values? What do they stand for? And what goes on behind the scenes? People want to see that now. And then in regards to a person, it's like just being yourself. Like, what problems are you solving? What value could you add to the client? Going down that route in regards to the storytelling.
And you mentioned about showing people what you do, not just telling them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking in my head, we work with some technology companies.
Yeah.
So they might post on LinkedIn or their staff might point, we have a software that does this.
Yeah.
And it might be quite bland, might be quite vanilla, might be a little bit boring. Yeah. How would you advise maybe just a technology company as an example for them to be able to show their story or show what they do instead?
So humanise the brand and take it down the route of behind the scenes, get the cameras involved, and like just basically bring that to life in some way, shape or form.
They basically need to speak to you.
Yeah, they need to speak to us.
Pretty much. And salespeople are notoriously pretty bad on LinkedIn. And they will be, if you were to come in and say, we need to humanise the brand, we need to get everyone posting, the things they will probably say to you, Whitney, will be, I don't know what to post. Yeah. No one will like it. My friends will leave negative comments and take the piss out of me. What are you telling those people
Don't sell to people. It's like, so what I'll say to is, no one wants to be sold to. And if a client comes on board with us and says, right, we want to do just show products and services, people are going to switch off. We ain't going to be doing our jobs properly. So the route is, you've got to answer the pain points of what are you solving for the clients. You've got to showcase what it would be like to work with you as well as work for you. Because not only that, it can attract better talent if it's a brand page, by showcasing behind the scenes. But in regards to a salesperson, it's all about talking about your expertise. Why are you an expert at what you do? What value could you add to that person? And just talking about the pain points, answering it in a clever way that's non-sales.
Basically, lose the sales jargon.
Yeah, lose the sales jargon.
Okay. And what if someone is coming to you going, I just don't know what to post. I know I need to be better on LinkedIn, but I just don't know what to post, Whitney.
And what role would they be in?
Let's just say, here's an example. Yep. Let's say they're working in a construction publication sales role, in the role that you were doing 10 years ago. Yep. And they're going to, Whitney, I know how to pick up the phone 100 times a day. I know I need to do more on LinkedIn. I just don't know what to post.
Right, okay. So they want to be talking about what previous case studies have they had for a client. How many hits has it had in regards to the press? How many website traffic has it had? What has it generated? What return of investment? Is talk about outcomes.
Talk about outcomes. That's good. That's what we talk about a lot when we're sales training, actually. It's always focus on outcomes. And in terms of that posting, because they might be a little bit apprehensive about putting themselves out there to begin with, should it be images? Should it be text? Should they get in front of the camera straight away? Yeah. What should they do?
It's nerve-wracking. It really, really is. And I still have it now. I have that imposter syndrome where I think, I've written a post about this as well. I had some negative feedback and I had a shit January, really, and it just gave me a right kick in. I didn't want to post. I felt stupid, and everyone gets some feelings. However, you're not going to grow if you're invisible. Like, people are not going to know about you unless you're visible and consistent. So you've got to keep getting yourself out there. You've got to keep being in the limelight. I don't like to do a lot of video. And that is honest, even though I've got my own podcast. I hate it. Christine puts that camera and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. But it's like, just start with images, yeah? Show yourself in action doing what you're doing. And then just talk why you're an expert at what you do. And just mix it up with personality. Like, people used to shout on LinkedIn about this ain't Facebook. People still actually do that, to be fair. But it's like, showcase your personality, because people buy from you. People buy from people that they trust. And once you consistently be platforming yourselves on a platform like LinkedIn, you will grow that community. You don't want a fan base where you just want likes and stuff. You want a community that is going to recommend you, speak about you in the right way. And when they think of your services, you're the first person that pops into their mind.
Like it. Like the first person that pops into their mind, but I think that's so key, because timing's not always right. Yeah. But also, people buy from people they trust as well, because typically the phrase is people buy from people they like, which...
No, it's not.
Yeah, well, even if you like someone, if you don't trust them, you don't want to buy from them. What's next for you, Whitney, and the business?
I'm not sure. We'll just keep growing and growing. We have got more international clients coming.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space. Got 2 in America at the moment, which are going really well. And yeah, some new countries going to hopefully be on the book soon. Can
we get like a sneak peek or first exclusive, or is that hush hush?
Hush hush.
Hush hush, okay. Maybe in a few weeks. And to kind of almost come to a conclusion, there's still a few points I want to talk about. You mentioned the book before around the 5 a.m. Club, and you touched on your gratitude, the motivational speeches, but how integral has that kind of routine and discipline been for you and your success in the last few years?
You know what, it's like you see all these people when they're on social media and they're like 5 a.m, they drink green juices and stuff like that. Like, I'm not all about that, honestly. It's just what works for me. It's like I get up, I have that hour to myself. I mean, mine starts from 4 a.m. I just really, really like to do that. I feel on top of it. I feel unstoppable when I've done it. I'm not going to lie. And then when I don't do it, I feel like I sink. So it's like my morning ritual. And I think even some mornings I've been in January, I kept waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, getting up for work. And I'd make sure I try to do that again. To do the ritual, get to training and stuff like that. And it would actually give me more energy. It's just mad. It's like, it's me getting my mindset ready for the day. And it's having that time to yourself to just reevaluate, become a better version, get your mindset right before you have to tackle everything else on the day.
2 a.m. That just sounds absolutely crazy. 4 a.m. even. What time do you go to bed?
9 o'clock. Like January, yeah, it was just hectic, honestly. I don't remember you seeing my LinkedIn. I said I had a bad month, January, yeah.
To go back onto January, you said earlier you got some negative feedback. You don't need to go into all the detail, but what was maybe the feedback that you got, and how did you maybe respond to that?
The feedback was a client wasn't happy with one of the pieces of work that we'd done. And you know what? I take everything personal. I do. Because I care. I care about the clients, I care about the team, and I care about the work that we're distributing as well. And obviously I rectified it straight away. But yeah, it took a knock-on effect on me. Yeah.
I think even more so when the business is literally your name.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah. I had a massive meeting with the team, and I just said, like, and did it knock my confidence? Because I believe in everything that we do, and I know the value that we add. I took it hard. I did. Yeah. I didn't like that.
How did you respond to it, though? I think that's the key.
Oh, straight away, we're all over it. Rectifying it. We'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Team meeting was well and where.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And in conclusion then, the perception of the sales industry, the reason that we do this podcast is we want people to listen to stories like you and maybe have a different impression on the sales industry. And to be fair, one thing that's completely unique and different about this episode today is when we ask people, how did you get into sales? Normally I fell into it, or my family worked in it. To hear that, I got it through a free placement for 6 weeks via the job centre after being in prison, we'd never had that before. So it's certainly adding something to our collection here. I think it's absolutely incredible. But in terms of your perception of the sales industry then, how do you think it's changed from when you were in it 15 years ago to kind of what you know now?
As I said, because of what we do on LinkedIn and the way that our platform, what we do as a company, I've never had to pick up a phone. Back then, it was literally dial, and people get sick of you ringing and stuff like that. And I genuinely think you can build a better relationship these days as well, face to face, over Teams, or just keep showcasing and building a community online. You build a community online, people will build trust and credibility with you over time. I couldn't imagine picking up a headset now and just going hell for leather on the phone.
I'd love to see you on the phones again, Fair. I bet you'd smash it.
Oh, I do love a good sales. It's not like it's the banter I love, because I genuinely am just myself. Like, what you see is what you get. So I don't put on a fake telephone voice and stuff like that. I hate that. It's like I'm just myself, and I think, you know what? If they need what I need, I know that I can deliver. And if they like me, then good.
Well, I'm sure they would do. Whitney, I think that's all we've got time for today, but thank you very much. Really enjoyed the conversation. Inspirational. You've inspired me today, so I'm sure you've inspired a lot of the people that are listening. And I know it's only recently you've started sharing your story, so really appreciate you doing so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.